Welcome, I'm Aaron.
And I'm Josh.
And today we're going to be reviewing The Punisher. Not to be mistaken with Punisher, starring Dolph Lundgren.
From 1989, if I'm not mistaken.
Think so, yes. This is the Thomas Jane John Travolta film that was made in
2004.
Yeah.
By Lionsgate after Spider-Man and X-Men caused a sudden rush of superhero films.
I like it. I watched the Dolph Lundgren one, absolutely loved it, except for the fact that he's not really the Punisher.
There's no skull.
I can't even remember him actually being called Frank Castle in it.
He's not, he's got a different name, I think.
But I thought Dolph Lundgren did a great job playing the Punisher. Didn't know how Tom Jane would hold up. And bearing in mind that the only film I had seen him in previous was Deep Blue Sea, I sort of had my reservations, but he works brilliantly in this. It established him as a really good actor. From this he went on to do things like Stander, which I think was afterwards, which again, great. Thomas Jane, brilliant actor. My personal favourite Punisher.
I personally prefer Ray Stevenson in Punisher Warzone.
We're reviewing that later.
We are indeed.
But yeah, Thomas Jane as the Punisher, brilliant. John Travolta as the bad guy.
As Howard Saint.
He's back on form. He went through a little rough period. I loved him in his early films, Saturday Night Fever, Grease. I also loved him in John Woo's Face Off. Hated him in John Woo's Broken Arrow and Battlefield Earth.
Let's not talk about that.
And some of the other films. But this, he's back on form.
Back to his face-off villain best.
Yeah, it's nice to see him playing a villain. He's so good at doing it, except in Broken Arrow. But yeah, he's great in it. The basic plot of the film is
based on the Marvel comic.
The Marvel Knights comic, essentially the third series of Punisher. If you follow the comics, it's essentially the reboot series, Welcome Back Frank.
By Garth Ennis, I believe.
Yep. And you don't have to have read any of the comics, you don't have to have seen the previous film, because it starts from the beginning. It's got an ever so slightly different origin story to the comic and the previous incarnations, but it works.
It's basically the same sort of.
It's the same setup, just in a different area.
Yeah. You got Frank Castle, whose family basically get massacred, and after that he decides to take up the mantle of the Punisher and basically punish those who do wrong.
On that note, in all the other reviews we mentioned taglines on the DVD covers because they are a personal annoyance to us. This one's tagline is, "There is no justice, there is only revenge." What's bad about that is it's not really what the film teaches us.
A direct quote from the film is, "Revenge is an emotional response. This isn't vengeance. This is punishment."
So yeah, it would be better if it was then there is no justice, there is only punishment. But it's a minor gripe, and when we start picking at the DVD cover subtitles, because there's not much else to fault, the film's doing something right.
It's directed by Jonathan Hensleigh, who actually, I think he wrote Die Hard with a Vengeance, I think is his credit.
Possibly.
Which was directed by John McTiernan. Yeah, this is a directorial, is it directorial debut by him?
As far as I know, yes.
The action sequences work beautifully. It's really slick. It's really cool.
It's what you want from a Punisher film. There's not too much action, but there's not too much waiting around waiting for the action to happen. When the action does happen, it's suitably Punisheristic. Kevin Nash makes an appearance in it, the wrestler, as the Russian. He's great in it. His fight with Thomas Jane, brilliant.
I actually really enjoyed the some of the more somber, emotional scenes between some of the Punisher's sort of
semi-sidekicks in a way.
Yeah, sort of like flatmates. Rebecca Rain Stamos and Ben Foster, both of whom would later go on to, well, would go on to star in the X-Men franchise.
But yeah, as Marvel films go, it's one of the darker Marvel films to be.
Definitely more violent and more bloody, and I quite enjoyed the sort of the dark humour.
Yeah.
It's more sort of sadistic, really.
Towards the end, it gets very sadistic. Not gonna spoil it, but the ending,
it's terrific.
I love. But yeah, if you're expecting it to be sort of the same level of violence and things as Spider-Man and X-Men, no way. It's a lot more violent. There's a lot of coarse language in it.
We're looking at sort of like Die Hard sort of.
I'd personally say slightly more. But yeah, it works brilliantly because the Punisher's always been a sort of anti-hero and more serious. This just plays on that even more. Yeah.
Yeah, just thoroughly enjoyable. Pick it up wherever you can.
Yeah, and tune in for our next review, which is going to be for Punisher Warzone, the...